Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is January the 25th, 2018, Thursday. TowerGate 322. Thank you so much for tuning in. An incredible news day today. A lot to get to, so let's get to it. Well, in the past 36 hours, we can see that the liberal media, the public relations firms for the Democratic Party, have gotten their talking points in response to the investigation that is going on in relation to the FBI, the DOJ, and the greater Obama administration's crimes. And specifically this morning, we saw the Morning Schmo and Crazy Mika and their friends wanting to, I don't know the word, but let's just say they were trying to make McCabe, Andrew McCabe, FBI Assistant Director McCabe, into some kind of a superhero, a super spook, or as Morning Schmo described him, an American hero. An American hero. That's how they want to portray Andrew McCabe, who is part of a deep state coup. Their American hero. That is disturbing. Shows you how far gone the liberal left legacy media is and how nuts they are to make Andrew McCabe into an American hero. He is not an American hero. He was part of a coup. He and a small group of his friends decided that they were going to overturn an American election because they know better than all of us who would be the best person to serve as president. And even if we get it wrong, that's our right. Disturbing. An American hero. He's an American zero, not an American hero. And the American zero, Andrew American Zero McCabe, deserves to be hanged for treason. An American hero. You know, Benedict Arnold was our greatest field general during the Revolutionary War. He was Washington's favorite general because he was a general who would fight. He was the hero of Saratoga, where he lost his leg, by the way. After that battle, Washington offered Benedict Arnold, his favorite general, who he regarded as almost like a son, offered him any command he wanted, including West Point. But then General Arnold became a traitor. He engaged in a plot with the British military to set up George Washington and his highest level of command in a plot that would have had them being captured. But the plot was foiled when they discovered the British spy in the forest. They found in his shoe a note which laid out the plan. And that's when Washington knew that Benedict Arnold had turned traitor. His greatest general, who lost his leg at Saratoga and gave everything for the cause. Then he turned and became a traitor. Washington wanted Benedict Arnold hanged. As soon as he got the news, he dispatched a group of soldiers to catch up to Arnold before he could get away. But as they approached the shoreline, they realized that they got there too late. And the British ship that was parked, docked, anchored a few thousand yards off the shore, already had General Benedict Arnold safely under wraps on the ship. He got away. But the spy, a very young British officer named John Andre, was captured and he was brought back to the fort where Washington ordered he be hanged as a traitor. General Washington's closest aides de camp, including Alexander Hamilton, begged him, please do not hang John Andre. He's very young. He was just doing what he thought was right for his country. He should at least ways, if you're going to take his life, should receive the type of death, that an honorable death for a military man, which would have been death by firing squad. Only traitors and deserters were hung. But Washington was furious, and he said, no, 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 hang him. If you don't do it, I'll do it myself. And when I catch up to Arnold, I'll hang his ass myself too. Well, Washington's aides were quite upset for quite a while after that, but they followed his order, and they hanged John Andre. Washington never got his hands on Benedict Arnold, but had he got his hands on Benedict Arnold, despite the fact that he was once his greatest field general, despite the fact that he lost his leg in the Battle of Saratoga, despite the fact that Washington viewed him as a son, Washington would have hung him in a New York minute without a second thought. The American Zero, Andrew McCabe, is guilty of treason, and he should be hanged like a traitor. Many of you in the comments section are calling for polygraphs. Yes, they still do give polygraphs. We know in the CIA, they polygraph their CIA officers on a regular basis. We can only assume that they do a similar thing in the FBI, but I agree with many of you in the comments section. It is time to polygraph every one of these criminals in question, including Uncle Bob, the executioner, Mueller. We need to know if he's part, oh, we all know it, but we need to have him say it on a lie detector, whether or not he's part of the coup effort. I think we know the answer to that question. I'm hearing this horrible rumor that Trump's attorneys are saying, yes, he should talk to Mueller. He has 4 attorneys. His lead attorney is Ty Cobb. I know Jay Sekulow is one of his attorneys as well. I know Sekulow can't be saying this is a good idea. What in the world is going on with Mr. Cobb? No attorney in his right mind would ever tell his client that he should sit down with any investigative agency that's investigating him. You would never do that. Go to any attorney anywhere, whether it's in a local law enforcement case, a federal case, or any case. You never, ever, ever sit down and talk to the cops when they're trying to prosecute you. Never. What Trump's attorneys should do is sit down with Mueller and say, okay, we're calling you. Show us what you got. Put your cards on the table. If you've got something, then maybe we'll arrange for some type of a meeting and we can talk it over. Otherwise, if you have nothing, then pick your cards up off the table and walk away and shut it down. There's no way I would ever, if I was Trump's attorney, tell him to sit down and talk to Mueller, knowing good and well that the FBI has a lot of dirty little tricks that they can play on you. Mr. Cobb should know this. I wonder whose side he's on. Not only that, but when you sit down with Mueller, you're actually giving him and his entire phony posse credibility. And he has no credibility. We're seeing the details leaked out right now every day, or talked about every day, that prove that the entire thing was part of a deep state coup. Mueller should already be gone. Mueller should be testifying in front of a grand jury right now for the crimes he's committed. And there have been many. I went through them in a video about 2 months ago. No way should he be talking to Mueller. What an insane idea. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. Chuck Ross from the Daily Caller. Congress is now looking into State Department involvement in the dossier. Who was the head of the State Department during the 8 years of the Long Mac Daddy Barack Hussein Obama administration? Well, the most recent one was John Kerry. Prior to John Kerry, it was this individual who's known to wear Chairman Mao pantsuits, poop-stained Chairman Mao pantsuits, with a defective colostomy bag, with a lying, rapist, crooked-peckered husband named Slick Willie Blythe, none other than the rotten Reverend Clinton, head of the State Department. And now we're learning that the State Department may have been involved in the dossier. John Kerry was briefed on the dossier in October of 2016 by Jonathan Weiner, who was the State Department envoy to Libya, you know, where they now have open slave trading, a country that's now destroyed, that once was one of the most wealthy countries in North Africa. It's now a shithole, thanks to Obama and the rotten Reverend Clinton and Mr. Kerry and Mr. Weiner. He put together a 2-page memo on Steele's allegations for Kerry. Weiner, Jonathan Weiner, met with Steele in the summer of 2016. The State Department of the rotten Reverend Clinton and John F. Kerry were involved in the dossier and the deep state coup. Mr. Weiner is a New World Order hack. He is a eugenicist and an environmentalist wacko, and is a Clinton confidant, a deep state player, and another man that should be hanged for treason. Judicial Watch has sued for the Peter's been stroking us and Lisa Page texts and their travel records. You better believe it. When I was doing fraud investigation for a major retailer, some of the best intel I ever got, I got from reviewing travel records. Well done, Judicial Watch, once again. Thank you for your service to the country. Tom Fitton, you have my deepest respect. You, sir, are a freedom fighter. Hey, do you guys like humor? I know I do. You want some real humor? Trump is going to Davos for the World Economic Summit with the globalists. They hate Trump. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to go to Davos and give his America First speech and tell them America's back in business. And he's going to tell them that he puts America #1 and that they should all be putting their countries #1. These are people that hate freedom, that hate the idea of individual liberty and borders. They hate all of it. The Eurocrats, the Marxist Eurocrats, are going to be freaking out. They probably don't want Trump there, I can assure you that. At Davos in Switzerland, where the New World Order crowd gets together to plot on ways to screw me and you and all of our friends. Trump is not going to go along. In fact, he's going to throw a wrench into their spokes. I just want to see. I don't even want to see the camera on Trump when he's giving the speech. I want to see the camera on the audience when he's giving the speech. I want to see the faces of Merkel. I want to see the faces of the Eurocrats. I want to see their faces as Trump is delivering that America First speech. I want to see their faces because it'll be pure terror on their faces and a huge smile on mine and probably most of yours. Please God, let someone film the audience as Trump is giving his speech in Davos. Thank you, Lord. Amen and amen. That's my prayer. What's yours? John Kerry, John F. Kerry, John F. Kerry, however you want to describe him, the ketchup man, told Hussein Agha, who is the associate of the Palestinian president Muhammad Abbas, or whatever his name is, Abbas, that Trump will not remain in office and that within a year he will be gone. So John Kerry, what in the world he's doing, getting involved in politics now that he's long gone. Why would Kerry be over in the Palestinian territory talking to the number 2 man from the Palestinian Authority, the number 2 man to Abbas? Why would he be over there, and why would he tell him that Trump will not remain in office much longer and that within a year he will be gone? What does John F. Kerry know that we don't know? Well, he was briefed by Mr. Weiner on the dossier that apparently now we learn the State Department was a part of. Did John Kerry violate the Hatch Act? I need to review the Hatch Act. Last time I looked at it, it sounds an awful lot to me like John Kerry is in the process or has now violated the Hatch Act. I need to reread that just to make sure. I'll get back to you on that. Hannity says that his sources tell him that the retrieval of the Page Benstrokenus texts is underway. I bet they are. I bet they're doing everything they can, and we don't even know. It's possible that the Inspector General, Mr. Horowitz, the custodian, whose job it is to protect the deep state, and who will probably be serving up some heads to try to protect the deep state, he will throw out some sacrificial lambs. Some of them are named Peter Benstrokenus and Lisa Page, but there's probably more. They will try to protect the integrity of the deep state, no matter how many heads they have to throw to the lions. But Hannity says his sources telling him that the retrieval is underway. If they want those texts, they will get them. As I told you, the Israelis own this company out in New Mexico. It is tapped into the main backbone of the international internet. They also capture every wireless call as well. Text, emails, wired, wireless, doesn't matter. The Israelis got it all. They got it all, my friends. If you don't believe me, go to Google, type in Fox News, Carl Cameron, Israeli. Just type in Fox News, Carl Cameron, Israelis, and read the story for yourself. Chuck Grassley gave a speech today on the Senate floor, and he confirmed that the dossier was used, the unverified dossier was used in 2016 by the FBI and the DOJ to obtain the FISA warrant. Tell us something we didn't know, Chuck. Now it's time to act. Treason is the charge. In time of war, it's death by firing squad. But if they're traitors, hang them. Mr. President, if you're watching this video and you cannot find any patriots in the Capitol or in your administration or in the military or anywhere around you who've got the stones to pull the handle, give me a call. I'll hang the rotten reverend, her crooked-peckered rapist husband, Slick Willie, Blythe. Loretta needs to be lynched. Samantha's Power. Susan Rice. Ben Rhodes. Long Mac Daddy, Barack Hussein Obama. The Dishonorable James Comey. Peter's been stroking us. The loose Lisa Page, Bruce and Nellie, the Super Zero, the American Zero, and McCabe, and all the rest. I'll hang them so fast it'll make your head spin. Pull the handle. Watch all their heads roll at once. I won't even bat an eye. I would be honored to pull the handle, Mr. President. Give me a call. BR549. Just remember, let's do it on the weekend. I have to be back at work by Monday. It won't take me long. I'll bring a number 2 pencil in case the bridge fails. Are you ready for the following story? I don't know if you are, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Fasten your seatbelts and let me have a drink. Paul Speery of the New York Post has just penned his second most incredible article ever. He's a great journalist, 25 years experience inside the Beltway, lots of sources. A straight shooter, a very good investigative journalist at the New York Post. Paul Speery has written the following article. In this article, he says that the DNC, which was controlled by the Rotten Reverend Clinton, and the Rotten Reverend Clinton, had contractual control over how the product they paid for was used and disseminated. Simpson and Steele had to get the okay from Clinton before taking the dossier to the media and the FBI. Hillary coordinated the hit. Let me say that one more time. The Rotten Reverend Clinton and the DNC had contractual control over how the product they paid for, the dossier, was used and disseminated. Homer Simpson and Christopher Steele had to get the okay from Clinton before taking the dossier to the media and the FBI. The Rotten Reverend Clinton conducted the hit. For those of you who've been watching my videos since the beginning, going all the way back, we're now at video 322. If you go all the way back to my very first 5 or 10 videos, you will see that I said that when we get to the bottom of this, we'll find the Rotten Reverend Clinton and her crooked-peckered rapist husband, Slick Willie Blythe. We will find their fingerprints all over it. We will find that this was a Clinton operation. Why? Because I've been watching these people for 30 years, my friends. I know them well. I know their playbook. This is and was a Clinton operation. That's what we're going to learn when all this shakes itself out. And everyone was working at the direction of the Rotten Reverend, with Slick Willie helping out. Now what do you think that little meeting on the tarmac was all about? I said this was a Rotten Reverend Clinton and a Clinton operation. I can smell these people. I don't know about you, but I have a dream. I have a dream that I will see the Rotten Reverend being custom fitted with a bright orange Chairman Mao poop-stained pantsuit with a government-issued colostomy bag, hopefully one that works and doesn't leak. In a small padded cell where the Rotten Reverend can rot the rest of the way until the day she dies for the crimes she's committed over these many years. I have a dream. Did the Rotten Reverend Clinton order the surveillance on Trump? Did the Rotten Reverend order the surveillance on Trump. That's what it looks like to me. That is what it looks like to me. Unbelievable. I don't know who Paul Speery's sources are. But if this is true, and we do find that none of these things could have taken place without the permission of the rotten Reverend Clinton via her attorney, Mark Elias, that places her with her finger on the trigger. It implicates her in a vast array of crimes, as well as the FBI, the DOJ, and the Obama administration. If the rotten Reverend Clinton had complete contractual control over how the dossier could be disseminated, and the only way that Christopher Steele or Glenn Simpson or anyone else could pass around the dossier is if they got the permission of the rotten Reverend Clinton or her proxy, Mr. Elias. That's a game changer. And everything would now shift. Not so much it will still be liability on the part of the dishonorable James Comey, the super American Zero, Mr. McCabe, along with all the other characters I've mentioned, including Mr. Carlin and all the rest. But it would squarely turn this entire thing onto the rotten Reverend Clinton as being the point person, the person who pulled the trigger. She put the bullet, she bought the gun, she bought the ammo, she loaded the gun, she aimed at the gun, she cocked the trigger, and she pulled, and I should say, squeezed the trigger. That's what this would mean if Paul Speery is correct. And he's not known for reporting bullshit. He's a straight shooter. And I don't even think he's a Trump supporter. This is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. We need to have more corroboration on this. On this point, I will be looking into that a lot more deeply. I'm sure a lot of people will be reading. I'm sure a lot of people have read that story by now and are probably following up on it. I'm sure that John Solomon and Sarah Carter and others are going to be looking in, maybe giving Paul Speery a call and saying, would you mind giving us some background? We'd like to be able to go looking for some of this ourselves, so we might find some other reporters who might corroborate this story by Paul Speery. And if this is corroborated and we learn that this is the truth, that this actually is true, that none of this proliferation of the dossier could have been done without the approval of the rotten Reverend Clinton via her frontman, Mr. Elias, then the rotten Reverend Clinton is absolutely going to jail. It's not a question. I mean, pick a crime, any crime. Is it the emails? Is it the pay-for-play, the Clinton Foundation, the murders? Could it be Seth Rich? Could it be this and that and the other thing? Well, let me tell you what, folks. If we find out that this entire thing was directed from the rotten Reverend Clinton to her allies still behind in the Obama administration, the State Department, and the FBI, if we find out that she was the person behind the curtain pulling the strings, it's curtains for her. And a lot of other people too. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to jail. The Democrats are idiots, but you already knew that. But now, in response to the memo that the Republicans say that they're going to try to release, the classified memo, it appears that Adam Schiff, the cabbage head, is now working with the House Democrats to put out their own counter memo. And exactly what would the counter memo say? What? that the Republicans are trying to set up Andy McCabe, the American Zero, the dishonorable James Comey? Is that what they're going to do? That will fail, because the fact is that this is all going to come down to the evidence. And there's already tons of circumstantial evidence, enough that all these people, as I said yesterday, should already have been arrested. There's also physical evidence to go along with that circumstantial evidence, and much, much more to come. I'm telling you, as I have been telling you for 322 videos now, since day one. I said on day one, when I started doing these videos, on that Saturday morning, when I got up and sat down at my computer and turned it on and poured myself a cup of coffee and looked at the morning's news headlines, and all over the news that morning, apparently very early that Saturday morning, Trump had tweeted out that he had just learned that he had been wiretapped. I thought about that for 2 days, and then on Monday I did my first TowerGate video. And I said, if in fact we find out that Trump is not crazy, he's telling the truth, and that he has learned, and he can prove at some point that he was wiretapped, a lot of people are going to jail. I said that on day one. And within the first week or two of TowerGate videos, I said that this smells a lot like the rotten Reverend Clinton. It's a Clinton operation. It looks just like all the other Clinton operations I've witnessed over these many years. I didn't know how right I was. We need to talk to John Kerry about that little meeting with Mr. Weiner. We need to talk to John Kerry about why he would go to Palestine and tell the president there, the president's right-hand man, that Trump's going to be gone in a year. And we definitely want to confirm that the rotten Reverend Clinton had to give the go-ahead for any dissemination of the dossier. Legally. That was a legal product that she paid for and owned. And to use it, you had to get her permission. That's what this is basically telling us. Give me a call, Mr. President. I'll pull the handle for you. Do I have any volunteers that would like to join me? And may I add that something else we've talked about in the TowerGate videos over these many months is that the lovely and talented Maura, one of our favorite subscribers and commenters, is going to be hosting a party on the tarmac in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, when this all unravels and we see these perps going to jail. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a party on the tarmac. I do hope that I'll be seeing you all there. And we will celebrate and rejoice in the fact that we have saved the Republic. And that's what we're going to do. We're not letting them get away with it. You see, this is why me and so many other people over the years have stated that it was a horrible mistake to let them get away with the coup d'etat in Dealey Plaza on November the 22nd, 1963. This is why many of us said it was a mistake to let them get away with that little game that they played in 2001, September 11th. When you let these people get away with this stuff, they become emboldened. They got away with the first coup. They'll not get away with the second one over my dead body. I suspect that if they don't produce this time, this is not 1963. Times have changed. I suspect that there'll be a very large march on Washington if this situation isn't brought to the proper conclusion. And I believe we may see military tribunals. There could be hundreds of people involved in this. We just added a couple more names to the list today. What I need, Mr. President, is a hanging bridge and Moore's List.